All right, so thank you for coming back. It's been 2 weeks since we've last come to Moon's Remorse, and a couple of things. I was just tired last week, and Easter, of course. But moving on, the adventuring group has come together in the town of Squallow, and they prepare themselves to go out into the wilds to find the white dragon Freemos and stop it from bothering the folks on the road. They had a conversation with the mage of the town, and got a bit more information about the stones they have found, and actually how to activate them. The only person who does not have such a stone being Jun, who is kind of the strange wanderer amongst the group, who has yet to find his true purpose, though he has been told that the roots he seeks to help the dice woman, who was poisoned by a conglomerate agent. He's been told those very roots happen to be near where the dragon has been sighted. Alright, so that's it. I leave it to you guys. Tell me what you want to do.
Last time we left off, we were headed to the tavern. I offered to buy a round of drinks. I'm sticking to that, but also as we're sitting in there drinking, I'm going to find the chattiest person in that bar and tell them exactly how to get to see an elf every day by throwing a golden fountain, knocking on the door, and waiting for that favor owed for a favor given.
They go, wow! And then he goes to tell his friends, and as you're listening to him tell it, he totally has the order of what you told him to do absolutely butchered. And then he tells another friend, and they're talking about throwing a platinum into the well. And then as you kind of listen to it carry along the tavern throughout the evening, you're pretty sure the well's been removed from it. It has something to do with the river, and they're talking about throwing an entire year's worth of gold earned into the river.
I start writing letters back to my town in Drans and inform the Mardigans that they should put a net in this well to catch all this point.
Okay, so you do a bit of rumor spreading and writing. All right, well that's happening. A fresh beverage is placed before you, Isaac, and you kind of sit there. You were told that your compatriot would be at the temple for the dwarves here in town, and if you needed his assistance, he would be there.
You know that Jeremy and I's overlays are mixed up, right?
Oh, yeah, let me get it fixed. Sorry. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I think we're probably capable without him, and last time I kind of dragged and dove into something, he got pretty wounded, so my conscience is just going to let him rest.
Okay. All right, and then a beer is also placed before you, Ithel, care of the stranger. And what would you like to do?
I'll definitely thank the stranger. Well met, sir. Why the beverages?
Oh, I just offered him after we met with the elf last time, so just hold up to that.
Thank you.
Seems we have mutual interest up at this dragon cave, so
It seems we do.
better be friendly.
Mm-hmm. Out of character, John. I can't remember. Did we talk to Rignar about accompanying us?
So, no one's actually asked Rignar about accompanying you to the dragon, to deal with the dragon. Rignar had stated that he had some matters in town that he wanted to deal with, and because of his adventuring with you, he hasn't been able to deal with those matters.
Okay.
Rignar's the white-faced dwarf, right?
The white.
Oh man, he was busy.
Yeah,
Matters.
Rignar Whitebeard. That's right.
Cool. So it seems like it's gonna be the four of us. Okay.
Okay.
It's four of us and just one dragon. How hard can it be?
All right, that's the spirit.
Thomsy, a beer is set out before you. If you wanted to sit with them, you could, but you also notice that your retinue from the dig site is still in the tavern, just where you left them, looking like tourists, and they're all pretty much just kind of huddled around the Undaunted, who's kind of sitting there, obviously not drinking, but a lot of people are kind of looking at him curiously before you guys start spreading rumors and such.
I go over and I ask them what they're still doing. Why are they hanging around?
Oh, we've got rooms, Teacher Fonzie, and he hands you a silver-ish key, hands it to you. It has a number kind of like etched into the flat head of the key, and he says, that's what we were told to do, is make sure you had a place to stay for the night, remember? And the Undaunted is nodding.
Right. Have you guys done any more work at the dig site? Has anything else been found?
No. They're the ones that accompanied you here.
Oh, I know we were at the dig site before, so
I'm
guessing they came here from the dig site.
They came with you from the dig site. The dig site's about a day away. I know it's been a while, so let me make sure. This is the two guys who aren't a big to-do, just two guys who were there, and also the Undaunted, whose name is on my list here, Perdix. They accompanied you by boat upriver from the dig site to the town to talk to this Rignar guy about runes. After that point was the first session. So they're here with you. They got you a room. They're not heading back to the dig site. That's a day away.
Okay.
Unless you're sending them back.
That's what I'm asking. I'm saying, is there anything else left there? Have we gotten everything?
No. We haven't gotten everything. There's still so much work to be done. That's why the other members of the Tall Memory are still there, investigating it. We came with you to learn more about what you found, and Perdix is continuing to nod his head.
I go ahead and let them know what we found, and let them know about the dragon that we are going to actually go and try to take care of.
Perdix kind of stops nodding his head and says, "Dragon. We've heard some rumors while we've been sitting here about a dragon that's been plaguing the roads to the north. And also between this town and the city of Drayans. My lord Fonzie, do you wish us to accompany you, or do you wish us to return back to the dig site to make sure that everything is secure there?"
Currently, if you're feeling up to it, I'd like you to accompany us, but if you're not, then I need you to go to the dig site. I don't need you guys just sitting around. I need you working.
You would know that if they're going, it's not going to be a piecemeal situation. You can't send away the two basically diggers without sending Perdix with them, because they'll die on the road probably just because of the elements. They're so pathetic. But Perdix would be able to protect them. If they go with you, they go with you. If they go back, they go back.
Then they'd be safe here, though.
In town, yeah, they can stay here too. Yeah. That's fine.
Perdix can come with me. Those two can stay.
Okay. Again, like I'm saying, they're kind of a group deal. They're probably not going to.
Well, take them all then. Let's go. Everybody, they're gonna be my carry things.
Okay. So they agree to go with you, and one of the lesser guys, he starts kind of writing out a note, and you see that he leaves it with the barkeep. You kind of get an eye of it as he's writing it out. It seems to be a note that if any other people from the dig site come up looking for us, because you guys haven't gone about a day and a half, might be gone longer since you're traveling out into the wilds, if you're gone for longer, that they would be able to find out that, where you've gone.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. So you guys are enjoying the free beverage, and continue amongst yourselves.
So just out of character, does June have a runestone as well?
He just has a rock with a $sign on it.
Correct.
So that's not a runestone?
No, he picked it up from the elves' home and drew a $sign on it.
Okay.
While we're just kind of sitting around socializing, Isaac wants to ask Ithel, this moon goddess you serve, what does she stand for? What are her virtues?
Oh boy, you're gonna make me look it up, Steve. Stasia, right? Crap.
Forget about your goddess and what she stands for. What do you stand for?
What do I stand for? I serve my goddess. I serve her well. Enjoy life, but not at the expense of another's joy. Respect all that is given to you in nature. Be a light against the darkness that plagues the mortal world.
So she is a goodly god then, a defender of free
Goodly
folk.
God. That's right.
And I must make a request of you, as of one of her devout followers. I'm gonna lift this heavy gilded book and drop it on the table with a thump. I say, this is my book of penance. It is my charge to fill it with my deeds. But we go to fight a dragon, and I may perish in this. So I ask you, as another follower of the good gods, please return this to a temple of Atavius, so that it may find its way back to my parish if I were to perish.
May we both... Wow, that's pretty heavy. May we both return safely. I might myself not return safely, but if you do fall, I'll see that happens.
This relic has more value than my own life, so I would hope it would return safely.
You are a true believer.
Jen, the bar's pretty quiet, but it does look like there's an empty seat at Fonzie's table.
Are we not all sitting together, or did he go with his?
I would have assumed you walked up to the bar and then ordered the drinks, started spreading rumors with the people that were at the bar, and then once it kind of cleared out and people started talking, you started writing missives. Fonzie did his thing, and these two, the cleric and the paladin, are still at the bar.
Okay. Yeah, head over to Fonzie's table and sit down there.
Oh, well met, friend. How may I help you?
Enjoying your drink?
Bought these drinks. I appreciate it very, very much. It's quite needed.
No trouble at all.
So, what are you here for? Why buying the drinks then? I saw you at the tower, but still wondering what you're about.
Oh, just being friendly. You guys are head the same way I am. Might as well, get on the good side of the backup.
Oh, absolutely. The more the merrier, my friend. The more the merrier. We do have this issue with the dragon. Do you have experience with dealing with dangers and the sorts?
I've dabbled.
Well, then I'm sure you'd be very, very welcome. We'll of course keep each other safe and make sure everyone makes it back in one piece.
Well, I'm sure you'll keep us all safe. Small one.
Oh! He does a little thumbs up like, "Ayy."
The Foms.
Oh yeah. We drink, chit chat.
Okay. So you would also know, just as a point of interest for conversation, the dragon is north of Dwarf's Rock. One of you has actually been to that place, and you don't know in particular what the dragon stone does that you were told about. And lastly, you don't know provision-wise what you have. You know that it's about 2, maybe 3 days travel by foot.
I'll go ahead and I'll start working. I'll relay that to my friend on the table here, and also to the rest of our party, that we need to start amassing supplies for about a 4 to 5 day journey there, and with coming back just in case we run into any trouble. And I have the 2 miners actually get things together and start getting the cart ready for us to go.
Okay. They and Perdix head out. Yep.
Very well.
I'm going to be asking Fonzie over there if he knows anything about this poison that I keep bringing up. It seemed like the elf knew something about it and kind of knew who or what you were. How long will somebody live with this in their system?
Would I know that? I'm not sure.
Go ahead and just make an intelligence check. Based on what the elf said, or Velis said in the tower, the poison that was discussed is a poison that's concocted by a group known as the Conglomerate. Your group, the Association of Tall Nomri, believes that magic should be learned and studied, and it should be allowed by anybody, but anyone who violates the rules of mortality, just, basic general rules of mortality, thou shalt not kill, etc., then they should obviously face the laws of the land. Whereas the conglomerate believes that magic is supposed to have its own laws in regards to it should be licensed. If you want to learn magic, you need to have like specific tests done on you. There need to be things that you go through, trials that you engage in to be able to use magic at all. And so those two groups are very much at ends. The conglomerate's magic is more ancient, whereas the Talna Marie's magic is more just, it's grown over time, whereas the conglomerate has hoarded everything and used dark secrets from the past or anything that they can basically pull from their ancient dusty tomes, such as this poison.
Could I do a history check to see if I've heard of any cases with it, what they can do to actually fix it?
Sure. So not specifically for that poison. That intelligence check was to basically kind of relay what that poison might be.
Exit everything. Yeah.
You didn't meet the DC to know exactly about what poison or what even the name of that poison is. However, the mention of Genesis root by Ervelis to cure it does sound like it might actually be the case. Since you have a bit of alchemical, study, you would know that sounds about right.
Do I know where it could be found?
Based on what Ervelis said, it's up past Dwarf Rock in the mountain that the dragon seems to be layering in.
Oh, well then, 2 birds with 1 stone.
It's the only reason Jen's with you, really. Yeah.
Got it.
So, it's going to be like a 6-day before I get back to this lady with this stuff. You think she's going to make it? And I say it loud enough that the clerics can hear me, too.
I mean, the best thing is hope, sir. Without that, we're nothing. So, I would say yes. Give that hope life and let it breathe.
Kind of a dork.
Eh.
Oh my god, sick burn. You're kind of a dork.
Fine. She's gonna die. Might as well not go.
Bye, guys.
Wow. So Ithel's ears definitely perk up at the sound of someone's hurt and looks sort of towards the bar at June.
Well, they're at a
Maybe
table, but yeah.
catches his eye.
Okay. He drinks.
Yeah, I'm looking around, staring at the clerics. I wanted them to hear me, see what they thought.
Okay, so Ithel noticed, definitely.
So 6-day, think she'll make it?
As I offered in the tower, the blessings of Tavius have the power to remove poisons and diseases, but you and the mage there both expressed doubt in my god's divinance. So I suppose your best bet is the root.
I have some skill in healing myself, but without her here.
Yeah, they had some clerics there going over too, and it seemed like maybe they were keeping her all right, but I think what that elf was saying might be pretty true. They look pretty serious.
Well, I guess we don't have much time to waste then. Once we're prepared, we should hit the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys leaving again, it's like mid-afternoon. Are you leaving in the evening, or are you going to leave the next morning?
Oh, I'm ready.
I'm gonna need to let my guys have time to collect supplies. It kind of depends on when they're ready.
Would we have a sense of, if we were to encounter a dragon, it would be best to do that at night or during the day?
Neither.
Not either or neither?
Neither.
Okay. Alright.
It would be best not to encounter a dragon.
I know, but I mean, does it typically sleep at night, or is it nocturnal, or?
You can make a Arcana check if you'd like.
I will.
Let me know what you got.
Yep, I rolled a 20.
Okay. Yeah, so you've been told that Fremos, the dragon that you're seeking, is a white dragon, and white dragons are typically nocturnal. Basically, when the sun is down and it's cooler, they engage more in their hunts. The cold air gives them life.
Okay, and then sort of thinking about how long it would take us to get there. Would we know whether it's best to leave daytime or nighttime?
So if you leave now, you would have one night close to the town and 2 days of travel, so you may be able to engage in just one night out on the road. Versus if you leave in the morning, nightfall, another full day's travel, nightfall, and then a half a day's travel. You'll be getting the half a day's travel out closer to where you're at instead of closer to them.
Mm-hmm. So it seems to me then that leaving at night makes more leaving sooner rather than waiting in the morning makes more sense.
I agree.
And get the night march, get a head start.
Okay. Only about 20 or 30 minutes later, you hear, basically while you were engaging in conversations and drinking and having a little bit of a repast, you hear a wagon kind of cluttering up to the front, and you see one of the two Talnamri associates kind of rush into the tavern tap room. Looks over to Fomsey and says, "We've got the wagon ready. Are we leaving tonight, or should I park it in the stables?"
We'll be leaving as soon as possible. Prepare for our leave.
Okay. They rush out.
I get all of our stuff together. I make sure that Perdix is ready to go, and we go get on the wagon and prepare for everyone else to come on.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, John. Could you remind me if there are any magic items like healing potions available here?
If you do a quick, just kind of summary of the town, trying to find places to shop or ask around the tavern, they'd basically let you know that there are really only two places that might. They would tell you that there is a place called Gold Bottles Provisions. It's just behind the tavern, against the wall, kind of a orangey building. And they tell you that there's also a place called Arctic's Curios, which I believe someone actually went to in search of poultices and what have you. And I believe I did offer you healing potions at that point, Jun. I can't remember for sure, but...
Negative.
Okay, you would have seen that there did appear to be... You're a well-traveled guy. You've seen the bottles from Jernaris, the ones that are made by the maids of their clergies out there. Basically red liquid in long glass bottles, stoppered with wood and cork.
So Ithel would say to the rest of the group, if we're going to face this fearsome beast, we should be as prepared as possible. She would take out her sack of gold, which really is about 31 gold pieces, and slap it on the table and say, "I do not know if this is enough. Would others be willing to contribute to the cause?"
And just a note, with that much cutter thrown out onto the table, you would notice that there's quite a few people who aren't your group, but they mostly just look like farmers and what have you, who are kind of looking over to it, like, whoa. And you hear one kind of say, "We might be able to get the elf to come out if we throw that in the river."
I say out loud, it's not enough. You guys got to throw in more than that.
Well, it's definitely a good start, but we're not going to try and steal it from you. Thanks for the... they walk away.
She takes her sword out and puts it on the table as well, just sort of, send a message. But anyone else?
Now that might summon an elf.
Yeah,
I'll drop in 15.
yeah, I'll match
15 as well.
however much we need.
Okay. If you guys spend a bit of time, do you want to go to the provisions, or do you want to go to the curios, please?
Well, if we were talking to June about this, then he knew for sure that one place had it. That's the place to go.
Okay. When you get in there, there's just a bunch of random nonsensical things all about weird baubles and trinkets and clockwork devices, clicking, clacking, strange long metal pipes with wooden handles on them. And behind the table, there's a guy, older looking fellow, with kind of a spindly look and strange goggles and glasses kind of strapped onto his forehead. And he looks at you and he says, "Hail, how can I help you?"
We're setting out on a journey. It very likely is going to be dangerous. I understand from my friend, if June is nearby, she would point to him, that you have some healing magic available.
He reaches to the counter behind him. He kind of elevates about a foot, just out of nowhere, just elevates about a foot, grabs a hold of them, and then kind of descends back down. He's now holding basically a wooden rack with 5 metal tubes in them. He sets the rack out in front of you, and you can see that the markings of the Genaris blood cults, the maidens who create these potions, is on each of the stoppers, wrapped around with leather and filled with a red kind of thick liquid. And he says, 60 gold apiece.
But before we negotiate for price, I just wanted to mention that we're going to face a fearsome beast. You might have heard of Freemus the dragon.
59 gold apiece.
But by facing this beast, we'd certainly be doing a boon to the town.
58 gold apiece.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that guy's a drug addict.
Drug addict?
Do you say that out loud?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, he goes, 50 gold apiece if you keep that silent. And he points to the
nice
points
job.
to Jen.
Oh, I think it's more than that.
My eyes kind of widen, and I looked at John. I'm like, "What kind of drugs? Nothing
Oh
The
shit.
fun ones, man.
illegal."
So good.
Yes, nothing illegal.
Oh, I mean, what drugs are legal?
Wouldn't be some sort of mushroom, would it? I just put a whole patch of illegal mushrooms to the torch, not but a day ago.
You see the man cover his mouth really quick.
I think this guy did too.
Anyway, while they're talking, Ithel would hand over 50 gold pieces to make the
I'll-
transaction.
I'll be honest, as this conversation's going and I'm looking at Steve's face, I'm just imagining that helmet just going to fly over to his hand and he's just going to put it on.
Juice vaulting intensifies.
That's awesome.
He covers his mouth and looks to the paladin and he goes, I don't do it. He's telling lies. Here, just take them all. And he pushes it to the side, pushes the potions towards you guys.
How many?
There's a total of 5.
So we get 5 potions. Awesome. Well, we'll take the 5 potions, and we're still going to leave the 50, and that's great. So Ithla would pocket the 10 since she put up more than the rest anyway. She will take 2 as the healer and give 1 each to the others.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, and he kind of, just doesn't say anything after that and just basically is looking at you to leave a shop.
I wanted to do some looking around and see if there's anything I could find that catches my eye to build my tinkering sets.
There's definitely a lot of tinker's tools set in and about and all sorts of gears, cogs, and what have you. But based on the interaction that you just had, it doesn't look like he's going to be too forward in selling anything past this point.
I set my hand on the gnome's shoulders and tell him, I think we've worn out our welcome.
Okay, let's go.
We head out.
I'm going to hit the tavern one more time on our way out of town before we're fully done and ask the bartender if he's seen Igama. And if he hasn't, just leave a message that I'm headed north to whoop a dragon ass. And it's probably going to be like 5 days before I get back to your hands.
He nods his head and says, Agama was the one in all of the robes and clothes,
Yeah,
right?
the dark one, very warmly dressed.
Well, I wouldn't have cut to that first. That's just a bit weird. Jeez.
Well, it's noticeable.
Fair enough. And then you guys head out.
My business here's done.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to go.
Sounds good.
All right, so you guys make your way by wagon out of town. Couple, I'd say maybe 5 or 6, let's see, mid-afternoon. Probably about 4 or 5 hours pass before it starts to get really dark. And the road is pretty quiet this way. You would know heading north of Squallow, most of what you're getting is small farms, some of them dilapidated and basically devoid of their former tenders, with wild growths of grains just kind of exploding out, but no one brave enough to go out and deal with them. And those farms would be basically the last farms that you're kind of encountering. The farms that you were encountering at the earlier portion of your trip less wild and more maintained. But it looks like you're kind of now out into what used to be something that was controlled and guarded by, the people of Parnak, and has been kind of ceded to the wilds. It gets dark. What would you like to do? You can continue on or set up camp?
I also think we should press as far as we can.
Yeah, I was gonna say push forward if we can.
Yeah, I'm no good to us tired.
Okay. Everybody make a Constitution saving throw.
$13.
Okay.
22.
I passed out.
Jody got a 4.
Okay.
15.
The wagon that you've acquired is big enough for everybody to kind of be carried in, but not so much for everybody to sleep in. Fomsey and the two stewards start to fall asleep. It looks like they're kind of cuddled up together, pretty close. The person who's riding the cart, there is a seat up there with him as well. That's Perdix, and he seems to be undaunted by the tiredness that seems to be affecting his eyes. Where would you like to be sitting, Andy?
It doesn't matter. If someone, I guess my elvish constitution is not so much affected, so wherever others would be able to rest.
Okay. You can probably still walk alongside the wagon. Again, these are draft animals. They're not exactly darting and dashing across the open fields. But it does look like they have gathered enough provisions in the back of the wagon with the space available to feed you guys for some time. That said, you guys continue on. Is anybody sitting up there with Perdix?
He's not very talkative, right? He just kind of does his thing.
Maybe someone with keen eyes.
He doesn't seem to be engaging in a lot of conversations, but nobody's really talked.
Oh, I would totally sit with him. I mean, I'm all about that not talking. Let's just do this stuff.
All right. Yeah, he doesn't once ask you anything or anything. No interjection in your thought as you're staring off ahead.
Yeah, I just read the by knot while we travel. Kill time.
Okay. Every so often you can see him kind of curiously looking over at the pages. And the moon rises high. It is just past a new moon. And it seems that, the air has definitely chilled out quite a bit. But it gets to the point that the animals start to kind of become weary, and Perdix kind of hops off the wagon, walks over to them with a bag in hand and a handful of just wheat and grains. He pulls out of the bag and starts feeding to the animals. He then kind of loosens them from their connections to the wagon and lets them kind of move about freely for a time while keeping an eye on them.
Are we near trees or anything of the sort?
You're just off the road, and basically you're kind of in a weird patch, like almost like a small, just off the road kind of stopping point, and there's just wild grass and like grains kind of all about you.
No overhead coverage, though?
No overhead coverage.
Is there any coming up that we can see?
No.
Okay.
The closest thing that you can see that might provide any coverage is a good distance off. It looks like it's a grouping of rocks. Basically, the plains kind of give way to, instead of high grass, lower grass with rocks kind of dotted throughout. And that would be another 3 more hours. And this is about midnight when he stops the wagon.
I inform them that I've had this discussion before, and it's best to find as much cover as we can with this dragon about, especially with the temperature dropping the way it just has. If we can press that extra 3 hours and then rest farther into the morning, that would be ideal.
Okay. Perdix kind of looks to you and he says, "I'll do what I can, but I'm not going to push them past their limit."
I understand that.
He
This
does.
is as much about protecting them as it is us.
He nods, and you see him kind of reach over to a special bag and kind of pick it up. Just a bag that seems to have been set aside from the rest of the bags. And he opens it up and kind of looks around at everybody to make sure no one's watching, but he's not really. You are watching. He doesn't seem to catch that. But he pulls out a bright red shiny apple.
Is it a bean?
And
Is it a sensu bean?
No, it's a bright red shiny apple, and he hands it to one of the mules, and then he hands the other one to the mules. And they seem really excited by this, chomping into the apple, and then he puts the bag carefully back to where it was, just near Fomzi's sleeping head. If he's not disturbed, he gets back up onto the wagon and continues to carry on, pushing the mules on. He sees a point up ahead, looks over to Jun and says, "How about there?" And he kind of gestures to it. If you'd like, you can make a survival check to see if it's a good spot to park, or make a survival check to see if you can't find a better one. Seems good.
Yeah, I gotta. Well, it looks all right, I guess. Anybody else want to weigh in on this?
Fomzi's still unconscious.
I'd be
I'm
happy to
asleep.
see that. Ken,
See,
it's a
another. There's another outcrowing of rocks, or is it a
I'm
tree?
asking out loud if you guys think that it looks secure, safe for the night. I think it looks okay.
Yeah, one rock is as good as another.
Okay. He kind of pulls the wagon over, unties the animals, kind of moves them over. Everybody make a Constitution saving throw, even if you're unconscious. And he kind of ties them off.
16.
Okay. You're still
11.
pretty good, Jeremy, but you know there isn't much more that you can do. You're kind of winding down. Isaac, you're the Binod has got you pumped, man. You're reading a especially good tale of how one of the Atavian kings, one of the original Ariomans, was fighting against the old king of the Dargian island, and you just continued reading how he defeated him.
Oh, I pull out a handkerchief and I'm just kind of like.
And also,
that's for your son.
you would notice that Perdix is also every so often just kind of glancing over, checking it out and going, just nodding with his pretty much stalwart face. But he seems to be pretty excited by the tale as well. Fomzi, you actually get awakened by the startling of the wagon. It's kind of one of those when you're driving on a long trip. Maybe you did it when you were a kid, driving on a long trip and you fall asleep in the back seat and you wake up because they stop at a gas station. Similar circumstance. The two kids are out though. The two workers, they're done.
Yep. All good. Oh my. I get up and I go see what's going on since we've stopped.
Okay.
What's going on, everyone? Where are we? Are we there?
This is gonna be a resting point for the night. It's about the best coverage we can find. I'm on my last legs. I'm gonna have to pass out real soon. So we need to establish an order here. Who's gonna stay up and keep watch for this dragon or anything else on the road?
Well, our elf friend should be able to do that very very easily, I would think, if they are okay with it, and of course Perdix will help as well.
Phil's fine taking the first watch.
As you're having a discussion, Perdix is walking around the wagon. He has one of the boys in a bedroll, and he's walking over to a place where you guys are setting up. He looks to Ithil and he says, "I'll take the first 4 hours. You take the last 4 hours. Good?"
Very well.
Just out of character, why doesn't he just do the whole thing as well? Why don't we have two?
He has to have a downtime of 4 hours.
He does? Okay, I was just checking. I didn't know. All right, cool.
Yeah, basically, Undaunted have, instead of like a trance, they have a power down mode. They just stop doing
Recharge.
things.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Are they still eyes on in this one like they were before? Or?
Yeah, they still have, basically like elves, they're still watching, but they're not fully active, and it takes some time to remove them from it. So, Perdix also then gets the second boy, sets him out, looks to you all. It is cold, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anything that you would need a fire for. It's not like bitter cold. As I believe we discussed last time, it's you guys are in spring, summertime. And
Probably better we avoid it anyway.
yeah, as he kind of makes sure that everybody's set up and stuff, he kind of takes a position on the cart looking out over the field a ways, takes his sword and kind of just plants it down in front of him and places his hands on the pommel, just holding a vigilant watch.
Before he gets fully set, I ask him if we can get the mule set, close to the rock, because the rock should be pretty warm from the sunlight during the previous day. Maybe the boys would be more comfortable in between the mules, probably a little warmer.
So you would notice, like, as you're saying that or kind of thinking to say that, you kind of look over the circumstances. The mules are kind of backs into, like, this small little outcropping in the stone, and the boys are actually kind of near them, but closer to the stone than they are the mules. So the mules are actually farther away from the wall than the boys. And they're not, like, packed in together because... thinking about it, you'd suppose that the mules might just shit on the kids. And obviously, that's an embarrassment that no one needs to suffer.
I currently care more about these mules than these kids, so
It's perfectly fine. But yeah, the first watch goes by uneventfully, and Perdix kind of comes in front of you, Ithil, as you're in your trance, your reverie, sitting within the Shazas, kind of regenerating in. While you sit between planes, just so you understand what that concept's like, is imagine being in a very lucid dream, but that lucid dream isn't actually the dream world, it's reality. You're seeing the world as a dream while you exist in the Feywild. You are actually moving to the Feywild to regenerate your spirit and soul. But he kind of walks up to you while you're in this, state, and kind of, places his hand on your shoulder and shakes you just gently. You snap from your reverie, and he says, "Milady, it is your turn." And he kind of walks over to where the boys are located, drops to his knees, then kind of falls to his side. It's just like a...
Cool. Okay, so I'll take watch.
Okay. As you're kind of getting prepared and set up, he didn't mention anything to you that was notable. You presume he would have if there was. But the boys wake up in maybe the first half hour of your watch and kind of walk over to the cart and start kind of pulling some things down from it. It looks like cooking supplies.
Okay.
And Fomsy, at about this time too, you'd be waking up. The sun is just peeking over the horizon. You've got that dull gray morning coloration, slowly becoming that deeper blue, and then sooner to be the brighter blue of a morning. But yeah, Fomsy, what would you like to do in the morning?
I'd like to just get one, if the boys haven't already gotten up and started cooking. I was going to tell them to.
No.
Next, I'm going to go ahead and start just my morning studies, I guess, where I study. Also work on my little tinkerer's toy just in the morning, just to start my day kind of slow to go, and work on that and build and tinker a little bit.
What toy do you want to have constructed for the day?
I am going to actually let's see here. Can I do a little dragon? Yeah, a little dragon, just to
Okay.
start preparing for it.
Sure. Basically, it's just a mundane little toy. You've basically gotten it to a point where it can actually kind of set flame to not like burn a whole house down or anything, but like basically it's a slightly mobile lighter. Yeah. And the
I'm
boys
going to use it to light a pipe.
the boys are actually starting a fire, and you kind of assist them in that regard. Little dragon, and then they got their tinders going. They set out a cook pot and they start cooking just root vegetables and a bit of jerky to loosen it up and make it a bit more edible. Isaac and June, you wake up. It's not early morning, by the way, when you do. It's closer to like 10 in the morning because of your travel time. So the sun's definitely been up for quite a bit, but there's definitely a good smell of a stew of some sort, kind of a breakfast stew. And Ithil, during your watch, they've offered the food to you as well.
Nice.
I head around the back of the rock and relieve myself.
Okay.
I do my morning prayers, and then I'll take out a whetstone while the food cooks and just sharpen my sword, polish my shield, typical night stuff. Make sure my gear's together.
Okay. By the time you guys finish your morning repast, you see Perdix kind of gets up off of the ground, just laying there. You see a Perdix-shaped like indentation in the grass, and he kind of walks over to the wagon and just hops back on, kind of looking to you. As he passes by Fomsey, he says, "Whenever you and yours are ready, we'll continue on."
I basically tell everyone, hey, let's hurry up and get ready to go. It seems like we're ready to leave whenever you guys are.
I grab some provisions and hop in the front seat with Perdix.
Okay. Walking alongside Ithel and Isaac, or hopping in the back to sit?
I'll walk.
Okay.
I'll walk.
Okay. As you guys are continuing on, about halfway through the day, as I mentioned, the high grass and grains gave way to more rocky plateaus with lower grass. And there's this nice open patch, field, that you see. It does look like there's a road that kind of runs across it. But the first thing that you see kind of coming up over a small hillock is a horse kind of rushing your way. It doesn't look like it's, panicked or anything. It just looks like it's running in your direction.
As we've been traveling through the morning, I'm just going to keep looking at Perdix and just kind of staring him up and down, like
Okay.
with an obvious questioning look on my face.
He'll occasionally look over at you in regards, but he'll kind of, stop. And when you see that he sees the horse, he kind of stands up, in the seat, kind of looking out to it. And he says, "Fomsey, there's something up ahead. Looks like a steed."
Let's go ahead and see if we can catch it and see if we can see what's wrong, what the issue is.
I'd like to see if there's any kind of rider on it.
No. Make a perception check, though. Really good.
25.
You would see that it doesn't have a saddle. Instead, it looks like it has a bit bridle, and it seems to be kind of dragging off two bits that are kind of broken pieces of wood. You would assume that this would have been something like a chariot, a horse that drives a chariot, or a horse that drives some sort of stagecoach or wagon.
How far away is it?
It's on its way. It'll be there. It'll catch up, or it'll come up to you soon enough.
I'd like to try to calm it if I could.
Okay. Go ahead and make an animal friendship check.
13.
The Sashi and priest kind of walks out ahead of the group, raising her hands, kind of beckoning it over to her, and it does kind of move over to her, and once it gets to her, kind of starts stamping its feet, just shaking at its sides, trying to kind of, it looks like it's really pestered by the things that are kind of connected to it that are dragging in the mud.
So she would try to gently release them.
Okay, with that check, you're able to remove all of the bits and such that are kind of hanging from the horse, and set them to the ground, stroking the horse's mane. It seems you've got the horse tamed. This isn't a wild mare. This is definitely a trained animal, and it seems to be taking a liking to you.
Does this seem injured?
No, not really. As you're kind of, looking it over, Perdix yells out to you, "Ithil!" And when you kind of turn and look over at him, make a dexterity saving throw.
19.
You snap from the air this bright red ruby of light, and when you get it into your hand and look at it, it's a big red apple, and the horse kind of stops stamping and kind of looks at you like, "Shit."
And I would feed the apple to the horse.
Horse loves it. Anybody else have any questions about the horse?
I would mount the horse, jump on top.
Is that
I would like
what you're doing?
You buy dinner and I can just do whatever you want.
What?
Go ahead, Chuddy. What were you saying?
I'd like to do a check of just like any injuries or anything like that to it, or anything.
No. The main interesting thing to you as you're kind of investigating it, not really paying attention to the well-being of the horse so much, but the devices that were dropped down, you start inspecting the broken wood and the damage therein. And go ahead and make a investigation check. Yeah. You're not sure how this wood broke off. But the main thing that's kind of popping in your head is it wasn't sundered from the wagon by natural means. You're pretty sure that some sort of magic was used.
I
I
can
think
pay
we're
that to
kind
the
of
group.
distracted by this horse. I'm going to kind of step over to Perdix and whisper quietly to him, "What's in these apples?"
They're just bright red delicious apples. I bought them in Squallow. They said there's an orchard just east on the border of Parnak and Seru.
What's it doing to these animals? Why is it turning them around so fast?
Horses and mules like apples. Something I learned very, very early on in my study of the laborious or animals.
I'm gonna look where the horse came from. Do we see anything?
As you're kind of looking over there and everything's kind of gone on as it's gone on, you see a white shadow kind of just dart up into the sky, and then it seemed to kind of catch itself probably about 100 feet above the air. This is some 500, 600 feet away from you, and it starts heading north.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You've seen this white shadow before. It's Fremas. And for those of you who haven't seen it, basically a decently sized dragon, heads up skywards, and you notice that on its lower arms, around where basically the wrists are, it's wearing these black bracers with blue gemstones set above the hand. It looks like also the maw of it is stark red, as are its claws, and it looks like it has a bit of gore in its hands as it's flying away.
Great.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we wanted to see him during the day, right?
It's nocturnal, right? So,
But this is the day, and he looks
It's
very awake.
It's the early morning, isn't it, John?
maybe
We
he
haven't-
could be going back to sleep. You know,
It is about 11, 12 o'clock in the morning / start to noon. So yeah, Jun's assessment is accurate. It does seem to be awake.
This doesn't sound like it's going to plan.
I tap him on. I pat
Perfect.
him on the thigh and say, "Adaptability, my good man, adaptability."
Perdix, upon seeing this happen, and also from kind of acknowledging the horse, he looks to Isaac and he says, "My friend, please come with me." And he hops down from the wagon and starts rushing off in the direction that the horse came.
I follow him, like try to keep pace with him.
He kind of turns back to you as he's running. He's like, "There must be wounded. There must be wounded. We have to see if we can help them."
Agreed.
If Perdix goes, I'm going with him. Just a
Okay.
heads up. I'll fall behind because I'm not as fast, but I mean, I'll be.
Sure.
Can anybody else drive the stagecoach? Because most of us will get there faster if we all stay in it together.
Jun, as you're kind of like, looking to the stagecoach and reaching over to the reins, one of the boys has actually slipped into Perdix's position, like fluidly, and he's kind of, and he kind of looks at you and he says, "Oh, did you want to drive?" And he kind of reaches over to hand you the reins.
Nah, man, hit it. Let's roll.
Okay, and it's kind of carting off, but you can see that Perdix and Isaac are kind of just, beating feet, heading up to the hill.
so I'm on a horse, by the way. Just
Oh,
so,
if you're trying to intercede as well, you are definitely going to get there first.
right.
Okay.
So just understanding. So we're on a path, and this horse came not on the path, but from a different direction.
You guys weren't really on a path. You were kind of moving along a trail, really.
Okay.
Just kind of moving the wagon along it. Not exactly an actual road. You were coming to intercede at where a road is, and over a small hillock beyond that, that's where the horse came from. Then you saw the dragon dart up from the same location.
Got it.
And are you trying to get past everybody and get there first, Ithil, or are you letting the two larger fellows head in first before you?
Well, I would want to match pace with them.
Okay, perfect. No problem. That horse seems to be having kind of an easy time of it. And the three of you kind of meet that hillock at the same time and look down at the carnage that has been kind of wrought. It looks like the wagon has been tossed several times, and where you stand on the hillock, it looks like it was actually like pushed up the hill and then thrown down the hill into a small just ditch. There appear to be large blasts of ice that are melting, patches on the grass, and there does look like there are 3 bodies, not really much movement at all from them. There is one other body. It appears to be a second horse, and the horse, it's not really a body so much as it looks like a good half of the back leg and a good full portion of one of the front legs has been kind of left in this splatter pile that's towards the front of the wreckage of the wagon. It looks like it, based on what you can see, it looks like it assailed that horse primarily, and from what you saw of it leaving, it had a bit of it left from its feeding with it.
So let's get to the people on the ground and see if they're still alive.
Okay. Yeah, Perdix runs in and kind of, as he does so, he kind of takes like a skyward look, and you see him draw this huge greatsword with black steel and barbs kind of cutting out the side. It's almost like a series of diamonds that have been forged together with barbs at the sides of the diamonds. And he kind of holds the sword out and says, "I'm not much of a healer. Hopefully you are, Hospitaller," and looks to the paladin and then looks to the cleric.
Yeah, I'll start tending the wounded. Are any of them like breathing or gasping for breath or any sort of movement?
Make a perception check. And same for you, Ithil.
13.
Okay.
18.
All right. You move to two that are close together, Isaac, just hoping that, you'd have a better chance. You're not seeing anybody who's particularly moving or anything, but you're hoping that, if you go to the group, maybe you'll be able to find one of them that's healthy. And Ithil kind of moves towards the other one. When you get to the two that you're looking at, you kind of reach out to kind of touch one of them, and your hand, like, you press your hand on them to see if they're breathing, and your hand goes through them. It seems that they've been frozen entirely solid, and you kind of pull your hand up with this nasty frozen sludge, which is their innards. You look to the other one, and you can see that it's basically in the same state, frozen completely through. Ithil, when you get to the one that you go to and look to this person, you would see that it is a young man, and he is completely frozen from like the legs, the thighs down. But when you touch him, he kind of and like lets out slow cries. It looks like only the bottom half of him was completely frozen out.
Is there something I could do to heal him?
Go ahead and make a medicine check, or you can spend magic.
As the cart starts to get closer, I tell the boys to pull all the way up to this, that they need to see this.
Okay. The wagon kind of comes up, like trundling up the hillock. It kind of stops, and they kind of look to you and say, "It's going to be a little slow getting down the hill unless you want us to go around."
How close are we?
Probably about 60 feet.
Yeah, just head around.
Okay. They
As
kind
close as we can.
of start carting the wagon along the hill down to the side. And Ithil, you kind of look to him and realize that without magical healing, there's little more that you can do to save his legs than to basically just start, what's it called when you wrap a body part so it doesn't bleed out?
Tourniquet?
Tourniquet. Set tourniquets on his legs and basically let the frozen portions of the legs rot out.
So, but magic healing would help him, right?
It should, yeah.
So I would cure wounds and help
Okay.
him, yeah.
You spend a to cure wounds. All right, go ahead and notate that. And he kind of, but he seems from the pain, he kind of just passes out. Not for very long, just like a slight faint. As you kind of look over to Isaac to see what's going on with him, there's really not much you can see to be done about those guys. But yeah, the wagon is also available. The boy is kind of coming to, and the other wagon, your guys' wagon, is coming down, kind of pulling up alongside the broken, shattered remains of this wagon.
As soon as we're close enough, I instruct both of them to get out and look. Look at what happens when you go out.
Okay, so they kind of get down and kind of look at what's going on, standing like beside where Isaac is. And they kind of look afraid.
I put a hand on each of their shoulders and tell them, unless somebody's paying you handsomely, you don't go out. I don't know what this gnome's got for you, but it better be good.
Nice.
The braver of the two boys kind of looks to you and says, We are members of the Association of Talnamri. We fight for good and justice in the world, and we'll do what we can."
Is this what you signed up for?
and they kind of like lower their heads
What you're gonna get.
nervously. You see Perdix kind of walking over to the wagon, your guys' wagon, sheathing his sword, and kind of settles himself back up onto the rider's post. He looks to Jun and kind of doesn't seem to he either doesn't know what's going on with the conversation or he doesn't seem to care. And
I tell the boys to hop back in the back and think about what they've seen today.
they do.
So, would we clean up the site of the carnage?
Your call.
Well, if we do, how long does short rest take in this game?
An hour.
An hour.
Do we
If
have
we do that, it would give me time to get back to spell slot, which we probably might want to do.
like these guys were miners, right? So they assuming they have shovels in the cart.
So, yeah, so if you go to the cart, basically you have 3 spades, not shovels, not full-on shovels, basically half shovel. And then they do appear to have some miner's tools, 2 picks and a series of pittons for chipping and such.
I'll grab a spade and just start digging. Give these boys the proper burial.
I
They
do
didn't
hate to
deserve
say
this.
this out loud for you guys, but it may be a better idea to just say your prayers and leave them. It could be safer for us if the dragon knows there's another meal here.
I kind of scoff and just keep digging.
The Perdix kind of settles his sword in the front and hops down, having pulled one of the spades out as well, and starts digging as well. He kind of, you've easily found a good soft spot of dirt, not anywhere near where the ice was, and it's actually kind of muddy, possibly from past rains, and it's not terribly hard. It's a easier dig than you're anticipating. So you're able to make a grave 4 to 6 feet within an hour or so.
Yeah, we bury them, and then I'll light a bit of incense over their grave and just say a quick prayer.
Okay. And Perdix kind of nods his head, having found a couple of decent-sized stones from not too far, and he kind of sets them down. And with a piton, he kind of just, puts a small prayer. Okay.
Did you say
Will
he-
you
did you
talk
say
to
he-
the young man?
Oh yeah, sure. He comes to. What did you say, Steve?
I just say you said the Undaunted said a prayer.
He's carving a small prayer into the stone.
I kind of take note of that. I didn't think his kind had faith.
Make a religion check.
Was there anything on the wagon that would indicate what these guys are, where they're coming from or going?
Make an
Only an
investigation.
8.
Okay. You're not sure what religion he worships or what the prayer's from, but the prayer basically says, "Be on your way to the well of unborn souls to be reborn into the world," and it's in common. Jeremy, what did you get on your investigation?
12.
You start kind of scanning around and looking, and from what you can tell, this wasn't really a wagon; it was more of like a coach. And it would appear that it had enough seating for 6 people. And there does appear to be a bit of like silks that have been ravaged and destroyed. It looks like the people who were traveling pretty lavishly. The 2 icicle bodies that are now being like laid to rest and being buried over as you're kind of looking at this and investigating. You would note that they appear to have kind of a more regal look to them. One of them was a female, and one of them was a male, probably somewhere in their 40s or 50s, possibly the patriarch and matriarch of these families, or this
Are there
family.
any markings indicating house?
With that investigation check, you're not able to find anything like that. No. And while you're doing that, Ithel, you kind of rouse the boy who has fainted. He kind of looks to you and goes, "Ah, they took him. They took him.
Who took who?
The strangers. They took him. They told us that. They lied to us. They told us that if they didn't. If we didn't give him up. If we didn't give up somebody, that the dragon would attack us. We thought we were paying their toll, and Darian, He wanted to save us all from it. He sacrificed himself for nothing. They lied to us.
Who was Darian?
My brother. Darian Vestal. Are you from Squallow? He kind of looks at you and he goes, you're an elf. What are you doing out here in the wilds?
We seek the dragon Freemus that attacked you.
Oh, blessings to Averio. Blessings to the saint. I'm sure with an elf you'll be able to defeat him. He kind of looks to his legs, and you can see that, your healing has done quite a bit for him, but he's probably not going to be, running any marathons or playing any, top-tier football games anytime soon. But he kind of looks to you and he says, will I be all right?
With rest and time, you will.
What about father? What about mother? And he kind of looks over to where the work's being done on the graves and he says, they didn't make it, did they?
No, lad. But they are well on their way to paradise. You should say your respects to your parents.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
I will pray to the fair ones. Thank you, knight. And he kind of looks to you and he says, I think they serve him. I think they work for him. I think they're his minions. But they told us that if we gave up one of our number and a treasure worth a lot to our house, then we'd be able to travel this way freely without any attacks. We were lied to.
Who did you give?
Darian, my brother. He was given. The woman...
You would sacrifice your own brother?
He sacrificed himself. He chose to be taken. I would have done...
Who did he pay?
We gave them... we gave them a Rio.
Who or what are they?
We gave them an Ario. Sorry, I apologize. You would know that an Ario is a type of coinage that is not used by common folk. An Ario is made out of what is known as rainbow stone or rainbow ore. Basically, when cast into metal, it creates an iridescent metal that shines like it was continuously coated in water and oil. Arios are worth about 2,000 gold pieces, and most of them are said to have lingering magic from the Fourth Age. They're signs of good luck. Well, we gave him the coin, and Darian gave himself up, and the dragon still attacked us.
Dragons have no honor.
You're heading there? To go and fight the dragon? I have no wish to do that. I must be on my way. I must make it back to Squallow.
Yes, rest and walk back.
No, I'm not going to walk back. I'm taking my steed.
How do you plan to ride a horse without legs?
Side saddle?
You'd still need legs.
Carefully?
You'd still need legs.
Just tie me to the damn horse and I'll be on my way.
Should we give the horse?
Well, the horse belongs to his house, does it not?
It does.
Without a sled or a chariot of some
Then
sort.
it is lawfully belongs to him.
You speak truth, Isaac. So Ithel, reluctantly gives the horse up.
Fomty, go ahead and make just a good old-fashioned perception check.
Perception?
Yes, sir.
12.
From what you can see of how the attack happened and basically the remnants of it, the front end of the stagecoach seems to be fine, and you're pretty sure the front axle was basically just kind of buckled and not snapped. basically pushed away from the frames that have snapped. You're pretty sure that with the time it's going to take to dig those burial sites, you could probably fashion a very simple chariot that could take this young man with a horse to where he needs to go.
I'll absolutely do that.
Okay. Perdix and Isaac dig the graves for the three. Ithel has some conversation with the young lad, and Jun basically torture scares the two kids, and probably just keeps an eye out for any returning dragons. Once the work is done, the young lad who tells you his name is Adrian is sent along his way. Adrian Vestal is sent along his way back to Squalor, and yeah, if you would like, before he leaves, Isaac, to make a history check.
20.
You would know, and you would pay attention to the fact that his adornments and the name Vestal are ringing true in your head. You remember Vastal, rather. House Vastal is the house that rules over Squallow. The current Baron of House Vastal is Tanos Vastal. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and show this to you guys again. Is it showing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once we get everything put together, I'm gonna try to, and the couple buried, I'm gonna try to get everyone to kind of hurry along so that we can chase down this dragon.
Okay. You guys get back up into your wagon and head on. The rest of the day goes by uneventfully. You get to a point where you guys would take your rests, and I presume you're trying to sleep as little as possible, so you're doing the quickest rest point and just the two watching while everybody else is unconscious. That said, just go ahead and make me a perception check, Andy.
$23.
Okay. As you're kind of, paying attention to your campsite and watching out, you do see Dwarf Rock, not too far off from where you're located, and you do see the hills kind of rising up to the mountains that you were told the dragon resides at. You're literally maybe 2-3 hours away from where you want to be. So if you wake up when you expect to, you'll be there in short order. But with that perception check, what you notice is that there's a very small pass, very hard to see, but you see it in the starlight, and you're pretty sure that if you take that pass, you could potentially get the wagon up there instead of leaving it behind. Entirely up to you if you want to leave it, though. On foot, it'll be about 3 hours. With wagons, it's going to be about 3 hours. But if you take that pass, that series of switchbacks up the hills, I know, my favorite word, up to a craggy area, you should be able to get there too. In time.
So when the others wake up, she would mention that.
Sorry, apologies. You'd be taking a second watch. So as you're kind of winding down and it's kind of middle of the night, you would notice that, like at a plateau on one of the hills, connected probably to that pass, you see a series of torches kind of dancing around what appears to be a series of standing stones up on that plateau.
And so, like some sort of a ceremony.
Some sort of site. This appear to be people who need light to see, traveling about or wandering about that area.
Okay, I'd report that in the morning.
Okay. All right. And then you guys head out, traveling up that way, right?
So are we going to go this way, the pathway where we can take the cart?
I would say so, in case we have things to carry back with us.
Makes sense to me. Others okay with that?
I would like the cart to go with us for the same reason. We don't know what we're going to find and need to haul back, but I don't think it's fair to ask the boys to get this close to what we know we're walking into.
Okay.
They are part of our order. They know what they've come into. They know what this is about.
Are they armed?
You see that they do have short swords.
They might not be the most active in a fight, but they do know the risk. This is part of what we're about, what we've been born to do.
Perdix
What are these boys to you?
Perdix looks to you and he says, I will protect these young men, and they will assist us in the matters that we require assistance from. He's very knowledgeable in certain things. He's training to be a staff member, just like Master Fomsey. And this young man here, he is training to be a shield, and is willing to surrender his own life to protection of others. And he kind of nods his head and kind of looks at you a little bit more confident now than he was yesterday. They understand what they're going into, but if the situation does go sour, he looks to the boys and says, you will retreat, and you will return with word to the association so that they can come and find out what has happened to us. Do you understand? They both nod their heads solemnly.
If they must retreat, tell them don't take the wagon. They need to be the smallest target they can be on the road.
What this man speaks is wise. Take his words into account, young lads. They nod their heads. The wagon kind of trundles on the pass. You get to a point that looks very defensible, but it seems to be more of like a fallback point. Perdix looks to you and says, looks to all of you, kind of says, if you would like, we can secure the wagon here. Me and the young lads can stay here. And this can act as a safe point for you to return back to if you wish to scout ahead. We do not
let's do that.
want to wind up with a wagon all the way up to the place where you said you saw lights, Lady Ithel?
That's right.
Good. They set up the wagon and kind of, they don't like strap it down or anything, but they do let the mules loose a bit, and they look to you, ready. The young lad, the one that he said was a shield member, kind of walks over to Isaac and just like hands him a bag.
Look inside.
Inside you find it's just a Dungeoneer's kit.
So just like supplies and stuff.
Everything that would be inside of a Dungeoneer's kit, yeah.
I'll just take it.
Dungeoneer's pack has backpack, crowbar, hammer, 10 pitons, 10 torches, tinderbox. The rations are included, and then he kind of kept the water skin and rope as well for himself.
I'll be volunteering to take point on recon and recommending that the heavier individuals stay farther back. And then out of game, I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
Okay. As you guys are approaching, I'll just go ahead and do John, as I presume he would want to do. Kind of makes his way up to a point. He seems to be kind of keeping himself low in the brush and moving up to a point on the plateau, kind of gesturing for you to follow. As you kind of are making your way up, you see up ahead of you a series of standing stones, standing some 20 or 30 feet up ahead. Fomsey, to you immediately recognize this as an old dragon shrine. Basically, during the War of Sword and Serpent, dragons would have their own shrines built to them where people would sacrifice, give gifts to the dragons for appeasement, the Vazra people specifically. And it looks like this shrine is quite old. But you also notice, based on Jun's kind of pointing out and his positioning, that there appear to be 3 individuals about the shrine kind of walking around in guard patterns. I'm going to move you to a battle map, but I need to change it real quick, so bear with me here.
Are they humanoid?
They are. In fact, Isaac, they look to be dressed very similarly to the cultist. Whatever his name, Gorb? Yeah.
Borg.
Borg, was it Borg? I got it backwards.
Oh boy. Deuce is about to vault.
Okay, pulling you to the map now. Did it go?
White.
Yes.
This it worked.
I don't see. I see our
Mine's-
tokens, but not the map.
I see nothing but white.
Should take a second to load.
I see like a big well-looking thing, a bunch of broken stone.
Yeah, and those square stones that you see, those are about 20 to 30 feet high. And when you were gone, what I explained was you saw what was going on up ahead, saw that there were 3 parties, dashed up ahead of the group, got yourself like solid snake style against that pillar that you're against, and kind of watched out, raised your hand like this to say 3, and then they kind of moved up to where they're at, still without being seen.
Copy.
You might want to reload the page, man. When I did it, it brought it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Crap.
just reload
Alright.
load roll 20.
All right. Give me a moment.
And yes, that is a very large pit. That is correct. Okay. So yeah, you can see the folks kind of meandering. I will move them in shifts once we get to a point where you guys are deciding whether you're going to move forward or operate in. But the brush is pretty high. It's not like super high. So you guys are, if you're trying to remain stealthy, you're doing a squat. If you're not trying to remain stealthy, then, well, balls out, swords,
see anything.
swords and boards.
As soon as everybody can see the map, I'll start
I,
making
I,
posts.
I can't see it. I'm sorry. Something's wrong. I reloaded the page too. There we go. We're good now. Okay.
All 4 on?
I can see everything.
Okay, good. So, as I said, you see what you see, and they seem to be, they're not currently being moved, but they seem to be moving in circuits. With a bit of study, you can see how they move, but if you don't, then you don't. If you want to move up and just advance and see what's going to happen, that's fine too.
I'll look back to the other 3, knowing they can see me, and tell them to hold, and I will watch for the pattern.
Okay. That guy moves like that, and then basically follows the same exact pattern back to where he was. So he basically moves from 11 o'clock down to 6, 5 o'clock. Okay.
Got it.
This guy here, basically so that they're both meeting at the same time, walks around counterclockwise around the pit from about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock to 11 o'clock as mentioned. This guy here comes up the stoneway and then moves to this point here, waits. Once they meet and break away from each other, he moves back down the steps.
Okay. Are all 3 of them elevated at all points in time from where I'm standing, or are we on level ground with the 2 lower ones?
Level ground with the 2 lower ones. You can see the steps that rise up to the it's kind of like a raised stage area, and then there's another raised stage up above that. So those steps go up about 10 feet, so that raised platform is about 10 feet high, and then the platform on top of it is 10 more feet. So that standing stone that's directly attached to the pit is about 20 feet over where the pit starts.
And the virgin sacrifice, I can see that.
There does appear to be a body up there from what you can see, and quite a bit of blood seems to be kind of staining the stone.
Okay. I will think and then motion as the 2 that walk around the lower portion, when they turn and start to make their pass back to their starting points closer to the sacrificing altar.
Yep.
I'll sign over for the elf and the knight to advance to the standing stone where they were and stand behind it.
Okay.
I don't remember how to make marks on the map.
You just go to the pointer and then hold a specific location.
that.
Okay, you're wanting them to move here. Got it. Okay, so the two of you, if you are advancing as he suggests,
And quietly,
First-
as much as possible.
first things first, make an insight check, the two of you.
Sure.
10.
Good,
9.
good enough. Ithel, not good enough. You're not understanding what he's saying. Isaac, it's basic. You're not sure if he means you, because the gesture he's making for you seems to be kind of putting his hand up to his head like this, and you're not sure if he wants you to hear something or if he's kind of trying to make a gesture like you're an elf, and so you kind of lose the translation. Isaac, you understand what he's saying, and it looks like it's now or never, and his face is becoming a bit more like panicked as he's kind of looking out at the group and looking to the situation. Do you want to move up or do you want to stay?
Yeah, I'll move up.
Okay, go ahead and make a stealth check. And Ithel, you see Isaac start to move. Not sure. Okay.
Oh no.
Sure. Okay, here we go. Go ahead and move 30 feet as if you're moving in that direction.
As those two start to move, I'm going to try to get the gnome's attention.
Sure. Real quick, though, just a note. As he made his way to that position and was like trucking it like dash action through the brush, they were making their way to. So they're actually turned away from you right now. But the second that you start hearing chang, 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 they both turn around and go, huh? And they see him, and you see them draw these curved blades.
Yep. So as soon as they start moving, I'm looking at the gnome.
Mm-hmm.
Dugat, Dugat, do you see me?
Who?
Yeah, I see it. My name's on the Zoom is wrong. So
Oh, sorry.
Well,
Fonzie.
I haven't moved yet, so I'm not sure what's happening exactly, right?
Right, you are now. You're seeing the situation. You saw the knight run off, and you're like, "What the hell's happening?" Then you see Jun kind of looking at you, kind of panicked, and then he kind of looks at Fonzie, and you're not sure what's happening. Then you see that the two cultists that were wandering are turning back in your direction, and we're all rolling initiative.
As soon as Fonzie makes eye contact with me, I point to where I am and start making shooty noise or shooty gestures.
Okay. Okay.
like
Don't explain too much beyond that.
Nope, that's all you get.
All right.
Oof.
Okay. We're good. All right. It seems that they would go first. Those two have drawn their weapons, and the one further back says, "Holy Knights!" and yells it out over the placement. You see the other cultist run up the stairs, and he seems to be kind of furling his cloak over one shoulder and pulling up a crossbow, loading it, and pointing it out towards the paladin. He'll take his shot. 9 misses. It goes whizzing past you. You just hear the as it snips past you. The other two kind of move towards you, but not totally at you. And Jun, go ahead and make me a stealth check real quick. Okay, you are hugging the wall, looking at the gnome, and focusing on him. It doesn't seem like you're giving your position away. All right, next on the list is Ithel. Not too far from you, one of the cultists is kind of positioned.
Does he see me?
He seems to be focused on the paladin, but he does seem to acknowledge you, yeah.
I'm gonna move here behind this rock,
Uh-huh.
and I'm gonna cast Shield of Faith on Isaac.
Okay, so the stone that's in between you and Isaac is about 5 feet high. So if you're kind of reaching over it, you could cast it at him with sight. That's fine.
Okay. Do you want me to roll it, or is that good?
That's fine. You don't need to roll. Just place yourself adjacent to the stone.
place myself adjacent to the
See the fallen stone? That's one of the standing
like right
stones.
there?
Yeah, yep. It's fallen over. It's still about 5 feet wide, though. So it's 5
Okay.
feet off the ground, is what I'm saying. Okay. Fonzie.
If at all possible, when Fonzie's moving, I want to roll off of this stone at the same time. You can say no, I get it.
Okay. So that's what you were kind of readying for, is what you were saying in that?
And I want him to take my spot, and I'm going to roll up to the next one.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, the distraction that lets me get through unseen.
Okay. Well, make an insight check, Jody. You
10.
kind of understand what he's saying. It sounds like he wants to give up his position for you to take his position.
Okay, well, I mean, before he even said that, I was planning on going that way and trying to get to an angle that the archer wouldn't be able to shoot me.
Okay. Yeah, so you can move 25 feet.
So that would be it right there.
Okay. And then you still have an action. If you want to dash, keep moving, or if you want to do something else.
I will. I'm gonna go ahead and try to firebolt on the guy closest.
Go ahead. Make the attack. You guys watch as the gnome kind of moves his hands, whispering in a strange tongue, points at that guy. A bolt of flame hits him in his armor, seeming to leave a nice red spot on his pauldron. He looks to the gnome and says, "You fucker." All right. Steve, as you kind of, see the two kind of advancing towards you, this glow of moonlight appears around you, and a shield appears near you with a crescent moon and a star set above the crescent moon. And then it kind of fades in from your view. You recognize the spell as Shield of Faith, and you see the two knights or two cultists ahead of you. What would you like to do?
Which one did Fonzie shoot?
South.
This one?
Yeah.
Alright. I'm gonna come down and get in between Fonzie and the dude guy.
Okay.
I'll draw my sword and cut him down.
All right. Let me know what you got on the attack roll.
17, 14 slashing.
How are you doing so much damage? Oh, you're strong as fuck. You guys watch the paladin kind of circle around, set his shield up, and then raise his blade from the side in a very Osirian move. He kind of sets the blade into the man's rib cage and kind of lifts up in. You see the scale mail kind of jostle a bit, and then you start seeing blood shoot out the side of it. The cultist kind of drops his blade and just falls to the ground. The other cultist looks a bit worried.
I still have
Movement?
whatchamacallit, remember that I whacked Godborg's head waxed? Would it be a full action for me to like pull it out?
Oh.
I want to intimidate these guys kind of thing, or?
I assume you have your shield, right?
Oh yeah, I'm like fully armed.
Yeah, if you're like metaled up, you'd have to sheath your sword again and then draw it out, and that'd be basically, yeah, no.
Yeah, next time.
Okay.
Snarl.
Jun, you see the paladin do some work. I just clicked too many times. You see the paladin do some work. He definitely does seem to be quite skillful with that blade. And what would you like to do?
Move as stealthily as I can to the next stone to my right. East.
Make a stealth check.
24.
Okay. So as a part of your movement, as your cunning action, you kind of hide, get over to the stone. Solid Snake. It doesn't seem he's kind of focused on that paladin and the mayhem he's causing in the center court. You know that if you kind of duck around the side, you could probably see him based on, yep, exactly. If you want to take a shot at him, you could if you have some kind of ranged weapon or not.
I'm just going to kind of hug the rock and stay hidden
Okay.
best I can.
Okay. You still have your action though, so you could you're hidden. If you want to move further, you could dash this turn. If you want to sprint to the next rock.
Yeah, I'll take up this point here.
Perfect. That's exactly enough movement. So you guys watch him go skip, 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 and just kind of hiding behind each of them. It doesn't seem to the guy doesn't seem to pick up that there's this shadowy Asian guy Naruto running from post to post.
Believe it!
Believe it. I don't know the line. Okay. Anyways, the cultist with the crossbow takes aim at the paladin and shoots.
That's the one to the north?
19. Does that hit?
Nope, because I got Shield of Faith.
You
Yeah,
watch
baby.
the moon shield kind of and stop the bolt. It kind of just splinters against it and falls to the ground near you. You kind of look up at it and like, oh shit, and then ding. And then the other cultist will kind of like look down at his hand and place his blade on his palm, rent it, and move towards you. You recognize this technique as the same that Borg used when he fought you and your friend. He swings a scimitar. You manage to catch it with your shield. You see the blood kind of catch on the shield and kind of it's more of a dark reddish purple color than what you'd expect blood to be. You would know that it's poisoned, but it misses. All right, next up is Ithel.
Ithel, would I be able to climb over the rock?
Yeah, no problem. It's not very, I mean, there's enough for you to kind of hop over it, no problem.
So I'm looking to sort of position myself in a way that I'm out of crossbow sight. Is this about right?
Yeah, that'd be good.
And I'm going to attack this one with my short sword.
Do me a favor and just make me, I mean, you're trying to do it quickly. Go ahead and make me an acrobatics check.
Sure.
Okay. You kind of like get up there, but you don't exactly get up there very fast. So he kind of looks over at you and knows that you're coming to engage him, so you're not catching him off guard. Go ahead and make your attack.
Okay. Sure.
He manages to kind of like get between, your blade and you, and kind of catch you, so that instead of hitting him with the blade, you're hitting him with like the guard, and it doesn't seem to be hurting him at all.
Okay.
All right, Fonzie.
I'm gonna say something. I'm guessing it's gonna say no. Since magic missile, you can kind of call it and control it. Can I shoot one and aim it at to where it'll go around to the back of the guy standing up on the hill's head and try to knock him into the pit?
It doesn't really knock people though.
That's a cool idea.
I tried. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a cool idea. If you want to waste a first level spell slot, I'm fine with that. You want to throw how many magic missile darts at him, and how many?
No, I was just gonna do one, see if I can hit him on the top of the back of the head.
Okay, and then
take his body.
do the other two go towards the one that's being engaged then?
That was well. I'll go all of them at him if I'm gonna do it. So yeah,
The
all
guy,
at him.
the guy at the back line. Okay,
All at the back of his head, trying to knock him off.
okay. Go ahead and roll 3d4 plus 3.
Oh, I don't just hit magic missile on this one.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
works.
that's just damage.
But apparently it doesn't work. Yeah. So, oh, it cut the macros, didn't it?
3d4, you said?
Yeah, 3d4
Plus 3.
plus 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You kind of send them at the back of his head. Hit, and roll a percentile die for me.
Percentile.
Mm-hmm.
It just has D10. Do I just roll a D10?
D100.
Oh, got it. Sorry. $78.
Okay. They hit him, and he kind of spins around from the blows. It looks like he's kind of on the edge, and then he kind of falls onto the steps. He doesn't drop into the hole.
Bummer.
But he is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Steve.
All right.
I would just like to point out that I don't feel that was a waste of a first level spell. That was a usage of a first level spell.
Perfectly fine.
Nice job.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna plant my sword in the ground, and I'm gonna pull out this waxed cultist head that I have, and I'm gonna present it before this guy and say, "Yield, lest you
Alright.
feel the fate of all those who serve evil."
Make an intimidation check as your action. And since you're attempting to effectively frighten him and cow him into it, I am going to make an opposed insight check, but he'll have advantage for the check because of his dark devotion.
Sure. I didn't roll that great anyways.
Yep. He kind of looks at you and kind of like, you see him dripping blood from his hand. He kind of squeezes his hand and clenches it, and he kind of like looks at the elf girl and he spits at you. He says, "You killed Borg." All right. Next up is Jun.
In a beautiful finesse of dexterity and just swiftness, you see John move to the right of this rock, spinning around it, and he starts to head up the stairs. As he sees that this guy's already dead, he just looks at the gnome like, dude, I was going to do that.
Fonzie, you see this
Got him.
The shadow.
Thumbs up, buddy.
The shadow that you just saw dart away and then appear behind him in seconds, and he kind of like looks like he's ready to kill, and he kind of just puts his hands back in his sleeves like, unfucking cool.
I could have sparted that guy.
The dead body up the steps that you can see now appears to have the same adornments and attire as the young lad who was sent away on chariot.
Okay.
All right, the cultist will, in anger, kind of look to Ithel. He is going to, thinking that she's more frail than the knight, he's going to attempt to grapple you. Go ahead and make either an acrobatics or athletics check, your choice.
Okay.
Okay. He kind of reaches out to grab her by the coats and kind of grabs the hold of her shoulder. She kind of slides out of the way and kind of keeps herself guarded. He kind of looks annoyed, but he looks like he was trying to take her hostage. Didn't work. Ithel, response?
Yeah, Ithel is not happy about that. Hold on. Kind of creepy. My sheet. Give me a second. There we go.
It's okay. You step forward and try and grasp him. When you do, the spell kind of just detonates, and he kind of moves away from the burst before the necrotic energy can take hold. You just waste the spell in front of him.
Crap.
All right. Fomsy? And you guys are going into a known dragon horde, and you're already throwing your first level spells.
I know. Okay.
I love it. Fomsy.
I'm going to go ahead and use Firebolt on the guy that's left.
Okay, take the attack. Oh, shit.
Ooh.
You see Fomsy kind of look at you, Jun, and kind of go, points at this guy, clicks his fingers in the spell's somatic gestures, and you see this bolt of flame hit this guy square in his head, and his hood, which is up, just becomes this huge, like, oven of flame as his head ignites inside of it. And he falls to the ground in front of you with his head still kind of burning inside of his hood.
I give her my in my pretty robes. I just look at him and say, "You gotta admit that Fomsy's got style."
I give a thumbs up. My little dragon on my shoulder breathes fire.
Somatic components for the spell Firebolt, by the way. Hey,
You just snap your fingers.
snap your finger and point. All right. It looks like you've murdered them. All.
Colonel Roy Mustang.
Anywho, we'll start with Andy and move from left to right. Andy, after the circumstances, these three cultists being defeated, first off, I'd like you to make just a wisdom check, not saving throw.
Sure. Okay.
You recall having seen somewhere around 6 or 7 torches last night. These folks do appear to have torches at their belts. Some of them look like they're a bit, charcoaled, but they're still usable. But they're certainly not 7.
Yeah, so I would mention that that and the fact that it looks like there are 3 or 4 others that are unaccounted for, let's grab the torches, and I would want to check the body.
Sure. Each one of them is wearing a suit of scale armor that looks like it could be easily fastened or changed to fit a medium-sized creature. They have light crossbows, each with about 12 bolts. Let's say for a total, if you gather all the bolts, a total of 36. Scimitars, kind of just gnarled-looking weapons that are very crude. They don't look like they're of the best quality. And they each have an amulet. The amulet's very familiar to you, Andy.
Mm-hmm. Does it have a lettering on it?
Of the letter A in
Okay.
Draconic runes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's similar to the to what she and Rignar encountered on their first adventure.
Correct.
And how about the sacrificial body?
Well, that's being investigated by others who are. You were dealing with the cultists first, so that's fine.
Get back
Oh,
in
I'm
the
sorry.
hall.
I had actually said that I'd want to check out that body.
Yeah, but Jim was already on it, so
All right, all right.
he gets first dibs. I mean, to be fair.
All right.
Chris, what is Fonzie doing?
He's going to move around, start inspecting the hole and just the area. Trying to also write down cartography of the area.
Based on the hole size and shape, you presume that this leads deeper into the depths of the some sort of catacomb or shrine that this is built up upon, and also based on the size of the hole, you presume a large or possibly huge-sized dragon might be able to fit through the hole in its flight upwards. It's well beyond your dark vision sight before you can see anything. It's completely pitch black though, but you presume that down below there's a dragon, and down below there's possibly 3 to 4 or more cultists.
Okay, and there's no stairs down. It's just a hole.
None that you can see, but make me a history check.
20.
You recall stories of old Vazrael dragon worshippers who would make sure to basically build their fortifications around their dragon's hold. And you would also note that they would always hide the real entrance to their place somewhere near the dragon's entry point. So your presumption is that the entryway into this cave underneath the mountainous portion you're on is probably somewhere nearby.
Okay, if I still have time, I'll start looking and
Okay.
seeing if I can find anything. But other than that, that's my turn.
Perfectly fine. Do you mention that aloud to anybody?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Everything I'm doing, I'm like, it sounds like I'm almost teaching. They're probably getting annoyed with it by now.
All right. So Isaac hears the words of the gnome as he's kind of just muttering on. He says that there's probably an entrance nearby, and he kind of starts scanning around, looking. What's Isaac doing?
Well, this guy didn't heed my warning, so I'll set up a warning for any more, and I'm going to do is start lopping heads, sharpening stakes from maybe some nearby lumber, and I'm just going to put heads on stakes and plant them in the ground.
You're not able to find any large enough stakes to head call, but you do see that high enough up that you can reach. You can take a smaller stake that you find, just like a twig or branch or a bramble, and kind of set it into a crack in the stone, and then hang the head on the actual monoliths that are around. So you can put a head here, there, and here. And if you want to keep Borg's head, you can, but you could also put that right here on top of this rock.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to, maybe out of a piece of, I don't know, parchment or a piece of wood or something, I'm just going to write a note with some ink. It's going to just say, "Hear ye be sinners," and then I'm just going to put the symbol of Atavius underneath it and then hang it over the heads.
The straightest arrow. And the fallen. Someone dropped.
Oh, my bad. I'm coming.
Okay. Apologies those who are watching. It'll be weird for a second. That said, Jun, you're at the body of the noble. Do you want to investigate it?
No. I actually just thought about it. I'm very uncomfortable with this hole. And if a dragon's going to come out of it, we're not really sure when. We either need to trap this hole, seal this hole, or just get out of here.
With the materials that you have available to you and the working of the stone that you see, it's very coarse stone that goes down for at least 60 feet or more, based on what the gnome was chattering on about. So knocking anything into this hole and sealing it, probably not something you can do with the available materials.
The standing stones, are they attached to the ground, or has somebody placed them here?
They were placed, but they look like they are actually in the ground. The one that's broken, you can see that it's broken at like its base. It's not broken like fallen over. The ones that are actually still in the ground looks like they are pretty sturdy, and it looks like they're bored into the earth.
Does anybody have rope or chain or anything of that sort on them?
Okay. As you're kind of trying to investigate a means or a manner of dropping things into the hole, Ithil kind of walks up the steps and moves over to the sacrificed party. You see that his throat's been slit. His blood looks like it's been kind of allowed to drip over the edge, and it looks like he was left here for dead. You see that he does have a coin purse. It looks like it's laying just loosely on the ground near him. It's been emptied. You presume that it was emptied into the pit. And everything else on him seems to be fine. He has a nice jeweled dagger and what looks like a short sword with a kind of silver-looking handle.
Anything particularly interesting about either the sword or the dagger?
It's a jeweled dagger and a silvered short sword.
I would take both of those things.
Okay. Perfect.
Motion to Jun to maybe help me move the body away so that we can, deal with it later.
Okay.
Oh, I can't. I don't have time for that. We gotta focus. We gotta focus.
Okay. And then Isaac is working on his deal. Famsi, make an investigation roll.
Oh God, 2 1s.
Okay.
7.
Yeah, you are kind of just wandering around looking for an entrance and just kind of idly just talking to yourself about the Vazriel and what you remember. Keep on saying, oh, if only I had some of the notes from Jonathan Hoppler back in Stormloft. Just muttering on to yourself. Doesn't seem to be anything coherent, though, to anyone who's listening. Isaac, you occasionally look at the gnome and are just kind of befuddled by what he's talking about.
Yeah, once I'm done my work, I'll kind of put and be like, Master Fonzie, what are you looking for?
Oh, the opening, sir. We definitely don't want to try to go down that hole. It would be quite dangerous. There should be an opening around here somewhere, of course.
Do you know what it would look like? A switch, an indentation?
Oh, each are different, of course, but they always try to hide them.
Well, I'll see if I can start feeling around for something, but I'm not really very familiar.
Okay. Since Fonzie's helping you and is kind of just blathering on at you, Isaac, go ahead and make a investigation check.
11 on the check done.
Okay. You would know that the rope that you have and the rope that would come in a pack is not going to be strong enough rope to pull down a stone of this nature. Even with multiple lines in tow, they will snap before they're able to move the weight of that stone. The rope
plan.
Okay, with the rope that you have, you know that pulling stones down would not be possible.
Not the plan.
Just letting you know.
I just started asking everybody else who has pittons, who has rope.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an explorer's pack with rope.
I gathered up all the rope and pittons I have. I have 10 pittons and 2 ropes also. I'm just going to cross ropes over the hole. So should the dragon come darting out of it, it probably won't see the thin line and run into it.
Got
to
it.
at least trip it up on its way out.
I get what you're saying. Okay. Do me a favor and make me... Is anybody going to assist him in this practice? Basically, he's trying to create lines across, basically a webbing, so if the dragon tries to fly up, it'll hit the lines, and it'll either stop it for a short time, or possibly stop it from going altogether.
Perhaps knocking it back into the hole.
Perhaps
out
not.
of control of its flight.
It's a good idea.
Can we use the scimitars that the cultists had were poisoned?
No.
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 Okay.
Make a religion check, actually.
Okay. 11.
You're not sure what they were doing, but when he dragged his hand across his blade and coated it with blood, the blood seemed to change. It seemed to change to this vitriol, this weird purplish ichor. And as you're kind of muttering on about it, probably heading back towards the group, if you ask Isaac, he seemed to have recognition of what it was.
Yeah, I do so. What was it, Isaac?
Pardon?
What was the substance that they coated on their swords?
Seems to be their own blood, but with some machination of dark magic, they are able to turn their blood to poison and coat their blades with it.
So Ithil suggests that they attach the swords to the ropes that they dangle over the hole. Perhaps it will injure the dragon if it flies up.
Tying blades and barbs into it's not a bad idea, Jen. But it just depends on how much rope you have. You have 50 foot.
Yeah, the young man who gave me his pack, he kept his rope for himself, so unfortunately I don't have any.
You know
I have
that,
the burglar's pack and the silk rope, which should give me 100 total feet of 2 separate ropes.
you know that if you're going to tie it to the stones, the pillars, you're going to need 100 foot of line.
I have 10 pittons, so I can get it closer to the edges.
Okay, yeah, if you're pitting it around the edges, then yeah, you can use, like, how many lines do we have? How much rope are we wasting here?
Wasting.
I just want to know.
100 feet, he said.
100 feet?
I have 100. If everybody else is willing to throw in.
So just
or
like
if these bodies have anything,
like a cross, like an X across it then?
more than likely.
Okay, let me go ahead and doodle, and tell me if you think it's all right. Probably like that.
Yeah, close enough. I would twist the 2 ropes together in the middle, though.
So you're
So like
basically,
one,
you're
to
basically,
wrap around each other, so if one comes out, they both come out.
yeah, got it,
No matter what, you always pull on all 4 pittons when you hit.
got it. And basically you're setting the pittons in a way so that they're actually arced in towards it, so that if they pull, they're actually pulling up with a bit of weight on the stone instead of just straight up. Because it's going to be
Yeah.
going straight up, right? You're not dumb, I get it.
Assumed.
While you're doing that, Ithil, you see that the other two, Isaac and Pomsey, are kind of wandering around looking for something. You're not sure what, though.
Did anybody else have rope that they wanted to volunteer for this?
I have rope, but I want to save at least some for us. Who knows what we're going to face.
Okay, if that is the case, I will double pitten each rope. So pitten 1 at the edge, and then about a foot behind it, second pitten. So it'll pop the first 4, and then the second 4. So it'll be 2 hits.
Perfect. That said, they're kind of standing over, just now kind of idly just standing there, Ithil. When you walk over to them, your ears kind of like point up, just kind of curious.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and make an investigation check with advantage.
We got 3 minutes from 7.
17.
Your elvish ears kind of point out that the stone that they're standing on, or standing next to, it's not solid. Doesn't seem to be right. You kind of walk around to the north facing of it, and you realize that it's a facade. It's fake. There seems to be some sort of secret door here.
So I would say that and open it.
As you do, the stone is pushed in and slowly slides down into the earth, revealing a staircase that spirals down into the depths. And we'll leave the session here. You guys will be entering into the dungeon next session. That said, quick experience total. You guys did pretty good. But it's a very meager sum for this session. You only defeated a couple of guys. A meager 50 experience.
Okay.
All right. And we'll see you guys next week at 5 p.m. Sunday for session number 3, which I haven't named yet.
Yeah.
Yay.
But we'll name it next
Thank
time.
you.
Later, guys. Thanks for watching if you watched.